In this lesson, we're going to talk about headings. So every good web page, you're going to see that when you go to any website, we've got page structure. So not all of the content looks the same. We've got some words that are larger, some words that are bolded, and just some that actually stand out more than other text. So you see on any web page, we've got a variety of content, and it's structured in a number of different ways in order to better break that content apart so it's more consumable for anyone visiting the website. So we see even here there's uses of images and so on. And I'm going to be showing you all of this and how to add in images as we progress through the course. But the first thing that I wanted to show you is how to make heading and heading tags. So heading tags in HTML, there's actually going to be 6 different sizes of headings, and headings are used in order to define important parts of your web page. And also headings are really important for SEO. And the reason being, so if we look at some content here, and we've got some more content here just down below, and then we've got hello world again, and let's just save that and refresh it. So what content actually jumps out at you when you look at the web page? You see that hello world jumps out at you. It's actually differentiated from the rest of the text, and we know that this is actually important. So this might represent what kind of content is actually below it. This also might represent the web page content and so on. So the idea here is that you want to highlight important content within your web pages. And also, again, going back to SEO, headings are super important for SEO purposes. And the reason is that SEO, so search engines, are going to be going and they're going to reading through all of your content, and they're going to read through, and once they hit these H1s, they're going to know that these H1s stand out from the rest of the content, so that means that the content contained within here is super important. So it's more important than the rest of the content. So this is where you would place your keywords for SEO and so on. So you're probably saying, okay, well, why don't I make everything H1? And the reason is that it actually wouldn't stand out. And also for best practices, you want to really emphasize, highlight only a few keywords that are going to be relevant to the content of the web page. So you want to make things that are good for the users coming in as well as good for search engines as they're indexing your web page. So you got to think for the most important part is you want your users to have a good experience. So let me show you some additional sizes for H tags. So there's also H2, so I'm just going to type H2, and you're going to be able to see the difference between the H1s and H2s as we save those. So I'm going to go back out and refresh it. So you see the H2 is slightly smaller. It doesn't jump out, doesn't stand out as much as the H1, and we can go all the way down to H3. And the idea here is that we're progressing ever smaller. So we're starting out with our first main tags, our main category, our main information is going to be H1, and then as we go down, we might have H2, so we might have a number of H2s. And then, so these are subheadings off of the main heading. So even instead of calling them H2, we'll just call it subheading and subheading. And we see that now once I save it. So now we've got this breakdown of the content, and it's actually starting to get broken apart. We see what's being emphasized. And as the user coming in reading this, we know that if this, whatever content here is in subheading 2, if it's in the H2 and this catches our attention, then we continue reading. If we're not interested in this subheading, we go to the next big subheading and so on. And we're using H3 to further break down the content. So typically you won't see it used in this way because we'd have subheading and then we'd have some content and then some H3. So you progressively increment that H value until you reach all the way to 6. A lot of web pages, you're not really going to see too many headings going past maybe 4 at the most, because the idea is that the structure is that H1s are going to be the largest heading, and then the H2s are used to break apart the rest of that content. And if you want to break apart those chunks of content underneath the H2s, then that's where you use H3s and so on. And then the H3s you'd use and you break apart content from the H3 and H4 and so on. So those would be subheadings of this H3 and all the way down. And as you can see, that as you start breaking that down, you're going to get really smaller text, less emphasized text, and as well, it's going to be a lot harder unless you've got a ton of content and a ton of subheadings in order to get to H6. So use these headings, use the heading elements, heading tags wisely to break apart your content and to better represent your content. And as you can see here, when you're coming in here, you can see that when we inspect this one here, we can see that these are H2s, and this web page has, so these are the H2s, and we can also see that if these are H3s and so on. So this page is broken down with H2s, H2s, H3s are the smaller ones, and so on. So when you're looking at the page, these ones jump out the most, then these ones are sequentially less important, but they're still being emphasized as different areas within the web page. So the next lesson, we're going to look at more structuring with your web page, paragraphs, line breaks, and so on. And this is all in order to better represent and make your text content more digestible for your web visitors. So that's coming up in the next lesson.